You know what separates a winning trader from a losing one? It ain't intelligence. It ain't education. Hell, some of the smartest men I ever knew went broke in the market. The real difference? It's something most people don't want to hear. They're trading against themselves. Their worst enemy isn't the market. It's the face staring back at them in the mirror every morning. They call me the boy plunger. Jesse Livermore. I've made fortunes that would make kings jealous and lost them just as fast. I've bought yachts and mansions, and I've been so broke I couldn't afford a decent meal. I've had Wall Street at my feet, and I've watched it crush me underfoot. And after all these years, after all the money won and lost, I'm going to tell you something that nobody wants to hear. If you're still not profitable, it's not the market's fault, it's yours. You're making the same mistakes I made when I was losing. The same mistakes every struggling trader makes. But here's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. These mistakes can be fixed, every single one of them, if you've got the guts to face the truth. See, most traders come into this game thinking they need more information, more indicators, more news, more tips from that guru on social media. But that's not your problem. Your problem is simpler and harder to fix. You don't understand yourself yet. You don't know your own weaknesses. And until you do, the market will keep teaching you expensive lessons. I learned this the hard way. Made my first $1,000 in a bucket shop when I was just a kid, 15 years old. Thought I was a genius. Made 10,000, 20,000, then lost it all. You know why? Because I thought winning was about being right. I thought it was about outsmarting the other fellow. But the market doesn't care about your ego. It doesn't care about your opinions. The market is a cold, indifferent mechanism, and it will take everything from you if you let your emotions drive the car. That's the first truth you need to accept. You're trading with scared money, and scared money never wins. I can see it in how you move. You enter a position, and immediately you're checking it every 5 minutes. Your heart rate goes up. Your palms sweat. You're not trading a system, you're trading your anxiety. When the position goes against you by a few points, you panic and cut it. When it goes in your favor, you take profits too early because you're afraid of giving it back. This isn't trading, this is torture. I knew a man once, bright fellow, worked as an accountant. He could calculate odds in his head faster than most men could with a pencil and paper. He studied the market for years before he ever placed a trade. Charts, financial statements, everything. First trade, he was right on direction. Stock moved exactly like he predicted. But you know what happened? He got out at a 2% gain because he was terrified of losing. That stock went up 40% over the next 2 months. He tried to get back in, bought at the top, and rode it all the way back down. Lost more in that one trade than he'd made in the first. Why? Because he was trading with money he couldn't afford to lose. Money that meant something to him. Rent money, bill money, dream money. Let me tell you something about money that nobody wants to hear. If you need the money, you can't trade it. The moment you need that money for anything other than trading, you're already beaten. Your judgment gets clouded. You start hoping instead of thinking. And hope? Hope is the most expensive emotion in the market. I've seen hope cost men everything they had. You've got to trade with money that means nothing to you emotionally. I don't mean be reckless. I mean be detached. When you put on a position, you should feel nothing. No excitement, no fear, just cold calculation. If you can't do that, you're not ready. Go back to paper trading. Until you can look at a $5,000 loss with the same indifference, you'd look at a misplaced pen. Here's another hard truth. You're not following your system because you don't really have one. Oh, I know you think you do. You've got some rules written down somewhere. Maybe you even follow them sometimes. But when the pressure's on, when real money's at stake, you abandon that system faster than a rat leaves a sinking ship. Why? Because you never truly believed in it. You never tested it enough. You never had the patience to trust it through the losing streaks. If you want to know the signs that you're actually starting to turn the corner on this, check out my video on the 5 signs you're finally becoming a profitable trader. It'll show you exactly what shifts need to happen in your mindset. I developed my methods over years of watching, waiting, recording. I had notebooks full of price movements, patterns, market behavior. I didn't just decide one day that I had a system. I built it piece by piece, brick by brick, loss by loss. And even then, even after I knew my methods worked, I still had to fight my own impulses every single day. The impulse to overtrade, the impulse to revenge trade after a loss, the impulse to get fancy and try something new just because I was bored. And listen, every trader goes through brutal stages on this journey, periods where nothing makes sense, where you question everything. I've talked about these stages in depth in my video on the 3 brutal stages every profitable trader survives. If you're in the middle of one of those stages right now, that video will help you understand that what you're going through is normal and necessary. Boredom, that's another killer nobody talks about. Trading is boring. Real trading, profitable trading, is watching and waiting and doing nothing for hours, sometimes days, until the exact right moment appears. But you can't sit still. You need action. So you take trades that aren't there. You force opportunities that don't exist. You convince yourself that this mediocre setup is actually pretty good because you're itching to pull the trigger. I once went 6 weeks without taking a single trade. 6 weeks. Just watching, studying, waiting. The other traders thought I'd lost my nerve, that I was washed up. But I was waiting for my pitch. I was waiting for the market to set up exactly the way I needed it to. And when it did, I put on size and made more in 3 days than most of those other fellows made all year. That's patience. That's discipline. That's understanding that the market will always be there tomorrow, but your capital won't if you keep squandering it on garbage trades. You want to know what really separates the professionals from the amateurs? It's not some secret strategy. It's not insider information. It's the ability to sit on your hands and do absolutely nothing when there's nothing to do. The amateur thinks he needs to be in a trade every day. The professional knows that sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. Now, let's talk about the thing that's probably killing your account more than anything else. You can't take a loss. I don't mean you won't close a losing position, though that's bad enough. I mean you can't psychologically accept that losses are part of this business. Every loss feels like a personal failure, like the market is telling you you're stupid. So what do? You hold on to losers, hoping they'll come back. You average down, throwing good money after bad you turn. What should have been a small, manageable loss into a catastrophic one. Listen to me carefully. Losses are the cost of doing business. They're tuition. They're the price you pay for the opportunity to be there when the big winners come. I've had thousands of losing trades in my career, thousands. But my winners were bigger than my losers, and that's all that matters. The win rate doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does. You can be right 30% of the time and still make a fortune if you cut your losses quick and let your winners run. But that's the problem, isn't it? You do the exact opposite. You cut your winners short and let your losers run. Why? Because taking a small profit feels good. It feels like winning. But watching a loss get bigger? That's painful. So you look away. You stop checking. You tell yourself it'll come back. And maybe it does sometimes. But all it takes is one time when it doesn't, one position that goes completely against you, to wipe out months of small gains. This is one of the hardest psychological battles in trading, learning to hold your winners and let them run. I've dedicated an entire video to this topic. Jesse Livermore's Psychology of Holding Trades and Not Closing Early. If you struggle with this, and most traders do, that video will give you the mental framework you need to overcome it. I remember a trade I made in 1966 Union Pacific. I was short, and I knew I was right. The fundamentals were there, the technical patterns were there, everything lined up perfectly. But the stock kept going up. Every day, up. I was losing money hand over fist, and you know what I did? Nothing. I held that position because I knew I was right. Eventually, I was right. But I was almost broke by the time the market proved it. Being right means nothing if you don't have the capital to survive until the market agrees with you. That taught me something crucial. The market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Doesn't matter if you're right about where a stock's going, if you get wiped out before it gets there. That's why position sizing matters more than almost anything else. You think you're being bold by putting half your account into one trade. You're not bold. You're foolish. Because even if you're right 9 times out of 10, that one time you're wrong will destroy you. I never risked more than 10% of my capital on any single trade. Never. Even when I was absolutely certain. Especially when I was absolutely certain. Because certainty is dangerous. The moment you're certain is the moment you're most vulnerable. The market loves to humble certain men. Here's what you need to understand about position sizing. It's not about maximizing your gains on any single trade. It's about surviving to trade another day. You want to size your positions so that even a string of losses won't knock you out of the game. Because those strings of losses, they will come. I don't care how good your system is. You will go through periods where nothing works, where every trade seems to go against you the moment you enter it. That's not bad luck. That's the market. That's the rhythm of this business. The question is, will you still be standing when that losing streak ends? Or will you be broke, sitting on the sidelines, watching the opportunities pass by because you gambled too big and lost everything? Most traders wash out not because they couldn't read the market. They wash out because they didn't manage their risk. They took one position that was too big, and it destroyed them. I've seen men with brilliant market sense go broke because they couldn't control their position sizes. And I've seen mediocre traders make fortunes because they never bet more than they could afford to lose. You know what the biggest lie in trading is? This is a sure thing. There is no such thing as a sure thing in the market. Every trade carries risk, every single one. The moment you forget that is the moment you're setting yourself up for disaster. I don't care if God himself came down and told you a stock was going to double. You still size that position appropriately. Because maybe God's right, but maybe your timing's wrong. Maybe there's a war. Maybe there's a panic. Maybe the company's president drops dead. There are 1,000 things that can go wrong, and the market doesn't care about your conviction. But here's where it gets interesting. Here's the part most traders never figure out. It's not just about avoiding big losses. It's about knowing when to press your advantage. When you're right, when the market's confirming your thesis, when everything's lining up, that's when you add to your winners, not to your losers, to your winners. This is counterintuitive for most people. They think averaging down is smart. Buy more of something that's getting cheaper. But in trading, that's usually how you die. What's smart is pyramiding up, adding to a position that's already working. Why? Because the market's telling you you're right. The market's confirming your analysis. That's when you get more aggressive, not when you're underwater and hoping for a miracle. I made my biggest fortunes not by being right about market direction, but by being right and then pressing that advantage. When I was short in 1907, I didn't just put on one position and wait. As the market confirmed my bearish thesis, as the cracks started to show, I added to my shorts. I pyramided. By the time the panic hit, I had built a massive position and I made millions in a matter of days. But here's the key. I only added to winners, and I had a plan for every single addition. I knew exactly where I'd get out if I was wrong. I knew my risk on every increment. This wasn't gambling. This was calculated aggression. There's a huge difference. You want to know why you're not profitable? It's because you're aggressive at the wrong times and timid at the right times. You bet big when you're losing, trying to make it all back in one trade, and you bet small when you're winning, afraid to give back your gains. That's backwards. That's the opposite of how this game works. The market rewards patience and punishes impatience. It rewards discipline and punishes emotion. It rewards those who wait for their pitch and swing hard when they get it, and it destroys those who swing at every pitch, who can't sit still, who need action for action's sake. Let me ask you something. Do you even know what your edge is? Can you articulate in one sentence what gives you an advantage in the market? Most traders, they're trading on feel, on hunches, on tips from someone who heard from someone who knows a guy. That's not an edge. That's hope dressed up as strategy. My edge was pattern recognition and timing. I could see when a stock was ready to move. I could feel the momentum building, but that didn't come from magic. It came from thousands of hours of study, of watching, of recording every movement, every pattern, every behavior. I put in the work that most people aren't willing to put in. And even then I was wrong plenty of times. But I had a system for being wrong. I had rules for when to get out. I had stops, actual stops, not mental stops. Mental stops are useless. They're just wishes. When a stock hits your mental stop, your brain will immediately start negotiating with you. Maybe it'll bounce here. Maybe I should give it a little more room. Maybe the stop was too tight. No, when your stop hits, you get out. Period. No thinking, no negotiating. You get out. This might be the hardest lesson for most traders to learn. You have to follow your rules even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. Your rules aren't suggestions. They're the guardrails that keep you from driving off a cliff. The moment you start making exceptions is the moment you stop being a trader and start being a gambler. I knew traders who had solid systems, rules that worked. They'd follow them for weeks, making steady money. Then they'd have one trade where they knew the stock was going to come back. They'd ignore their stop. They'd override their system. And that one trade would wipe out weeks of gains. One trade, because they thought they were smarter than their rules. You're not smarter than your rules. Your rules were created when you were calm, rational, thinking clearly. In the heat of the moment, when money's on the line, when emotions are running high, you're not thinking clearly. That's when you need your rules most. That's when you follow them without question. Here's another truth. You're probably overtrading. You think you need to be active to make money. You think the traders making fortunes are the ones in and out of positions all day long. But that's not how real money is made. Real money is made by being patient, by waiting for the high probability setups, and then betting big when they appear. I might make 20 trades in a year that really mattered. 20. Out of hundreds of opportunities that I passed on, I didn't trade because I was bored. I didn't trade because I felt like I should be doing something. I traded when the conditions were right, when the odds were heavily in my favor, when I could clearly see the path forward. The rest of the time, I waited. I watched. I studied. Trading isn't a job where you get paid by the hour. You don't get rewarded for activity. You get rewarded for being right at the right time. Nothing else matters. You want to improve your trading right now? Here's what you do. Cut your trading frequency in half. Then cut it in half again. Force yourself to be more selective. Stop taking marginal setups. Stop trading because you're bored or because you feel like you should be doing something. Only trade when everything lines up. When the setup is so obvious that you'd bet serious money on it. And speaking of taking trades you shouldn't take, FOMO is probably killing more of your trades than you realize. That fear of missing out, that panic when you see a stock moving without you, it makes you chase. It makes you enter at the worst possible times. I've seen this destroy more accounts than I can count. If this sounds like you, go watch my video on the deadly trap of FOMO in trading and how to stop. It'll show you exactly how to recognize when FOMO is controlling you and what to do about it, because that's what you're doing. You are betting serious money on it. This isn't a game. This isn't practice. Every trade you take is risking real capital, capital that took you time and effort to accumulate. Treat it with respect. Don't throw it away on mediocre opportunities just because you need action. The market will always give you opportunities. Always. It's been here for hundreds of years, and it'll be here hundreds more. But your capital is finite. Once it's gone, you're done. You're sitting on the sidelines while everyone else is playing. Is that what you want? To be the person who coulda, shoulda, woulda, but didn't because you couldn't control yourself. I've been broke. Multiple times. I know what it feels like to have nothing. To watch opportunities pass by because you don't have the capital to take advantage of them. It's the worst feeling in the world, worse than losing money. Because when you're losing money, at least you're still in the game. When you're broke, you're a spectator. You're watching other people make money on the moves you predicted, on the setups you saw, but couldn't trade because you'd already blown up your account. Don't let that be you. Protect your capital like your life depends on it. Because in this business, it does. Your trading life, anyway. Now I'm going to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. Most of you won't make it. Most traders fail, not because they're not smart enough, not because they don't work hard enough, but because they can't control themselves. They can't overcome their own psychology. They can't stop stepping on their own feet. But here's the thing. You could be different. You could be one of the ones who makes it. The potential is there. The opportunity is there. The market doesn't care about your background, your education, where you came from. It only cares whether you can make good decisions under pressure, whether you can follow your rules, whether you can control your emotions. That's all it takes. Sounds simple, right? It is simple. But simple isn't easy. Knowing what to do and actually doing it are two very different things. I knew what I should do long before I could consistently do it. It took years of painful lessons, of watching my own mistakes cost me fortunes, before I finally learned to get out of my own way. But you can learn faster than I did. You have resources I never had. You have technology, information, education. What you need to develop is the mental discipline, the emotional control, the patience. Those things haven't changed. Those things will never change, because human nature doesn't change. The market is just a reflection of human nature: greed and fear, hope and despair. These emotions have driven markets for as long as markets have existed. They'll drive markets forever. Your job isn't to eliminate these emotions. You can't. Your job is to recognize them in yourself and in others, and to profit from the patterns they create. When everyone else is greedy, be cautious. When everyone else is fearful, be bold. Sounds easy, right? But try doing it when your friends are all making money and you're sitting on the sidelines. Try being greedy when the world feels like it's ending and everyone's predicting disaster. That's when your discipline gets tested. That's when you find out if you've really learned anything. I made my biggest money in the panics. When everyone else was selling, when fear was everywhere, that's when I bought. Not because I was brave, because I'd seen it before. I knew that panics end. I knew that the market always recovers. I knew that the time of maximum pessimism is the time of maximum opportunity. But I could only take advantage of those opportunities because I had capital. I hadn't blown up my account chasing bad trades. I'd been patient. I'd been waiting. And when my moment came, I was ready. But I could only take advantage of those opportunities because I had capital. I hadn't blown up my account chasing bad trades. I'd been patient. I'd been waiting. And when my moment came, I was ready. That's what I want for you, to be ready when your moment comes. Because it will come. The market will hand you opportunities on a silver platter. The question is, will you have the capital to take advantage of them? Will you have the discipline to execute? Or will you be like most traders, broke and watching from the sidelines, kicking yourself for all the mistakes you made along the way? The choice is yours. The market doesn't care which path you choose. It'll keep moving whether you're in it or not. But I'm telling you, if you want to make it in this business, you need to start making different choices. You need to stop doing what feels good and start doing what works. You need to stop trading your emotions and start trading your system. You need to become someone different than you are right now. Someone more disciplined, someone more patient, someone who can look at a loss and shrug it off, who can look at a winner and let it run, someone who trades with their head, not their heart. Can you become that person? I don't know. Only you can answer that. But I can tell you this: if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to face your own weaknesses and fix them, if you're willing to change, then yes, you can make it. You can be profitable. You can build wealth in the market. But it starts with looking in the mirror and being honest about why you're really not profitable yet. It's not the market. It's not your broker. It's not the algorithms or the institutions or bad luck. It's you. Your decisions, your discipline, your emotions. The good news? Those are all things you can control. You can't control the market, but you can control yourself. And in the end, that's what all you need to control. I've given you the truth. Now it's up to you to do something with it. The market will be open tomorrow. The opportunities will be there. The question is, will you be ready? Before you go, I want you to do something for me. Check out our other videos where we dive deeper into specific strategies and techniques that can transform your trading. And tell me in the comments, what part of this video hit home for you? What's the one thing you're going to change about your trading starting today? I want to hear from you. If this video helped you see something you needed to see, hit that like button and share it with another trader who needs to hear this message. And subscribe to this channel, because we're going to keep bringing you the raw truth about what it really takes to make it in this game. No sugarcoating. No fairy tales. Just the truth. Now get out there and trade like you've got some sense. The market's waiting.